A republic is born weak, proud, and terrified of collapse. Its citizens celebrate liberty, yet its leaders see only unfinished danger. Into that uncertainty step two men who helped build the nation, then fought to define it. Alexander Hamilton believes freedom survives only when power is organized. Thomas Jefferson believes power becomes safe only when it is chained. One wants credit, industry, national energy, and executive force. The other wants yeoman independence, local authority, and permanent suspicion towards centralized rule. Their argument is not ancient trivia. It is the operating system of modern politics. How much power should a nation gather before it stops calling itself free? How much liberty can it afford before it becomes too weak to endure? Tonight, Hamilton and Jefferson meet inside the same contested republic. The question before them: what truly makes a nation strong? First, Alexander Hamilton. Immigrant, soldier, treasury architect, master of fiscal machinery. He distrusts sentiment, romanticism, and any politics that ignores hard incentives. To Hamilton, nations survive by building credit, institutions, and disciplined authority. He sees disorder not as a noble risk, but as the opening act of ruin. Opposite him stands Thomas Jefferson, planter, penman, diplomat, and philosopher of liberty. He distrusts concentrated money, permanent bureaucracy, and power that begins by promising efficiency. To Jefferson, republics stay free only when citizens remain locally rooted and government stays narrow. He sees centralized force not as salvation, but as temptation. Both men claim to defend liberty. Both accuse the other of endangering it. This debate will proceed in opening statements, direct rounds, cross-examination, and closing arguments. No interruptions from me now. No winner declared from this chair. Gentlemen, the Republic is listening. Colonel Hamilton, your opening statement.
A nation is not made strong by wishes. It is made strong by a structure. Liberty without a structure is noise, and noise cannot command respect abroad or obedience at home. We have seen what weak confederation produces: unpaid soldiers, empty coffers, and the states pulling against one another. A government that cannot raise revenue is not limited, it is helpless. A government that cannot enforce law invites every ambitious faction to test its edges. Credit is not a banker's toy. Credit is national reputation made visible. When the world believes your promises, your armies march, your ports open, and your people prosper. Industry, commerce, and finance bind scattered interests into one durable union. A strong center does not insult liberty. It protects liberty from panic, debt, and disunion. Human beings do not become wise merely because they vote locally. They require institutions that channel ambition, restrain chaos, and outlast passing passions. If you want a free nation to survive, you must first build a nation capable of survival.
A nation is not made worthy by power. It is made worthy by the way it restrains power. The people do not create government so government may grow majestic over them. They create it to secure natural rights and then remain answerable to those rights. When authority gathers revenue, armies, banks, and patronage into one center, liberty begins to kneel. History does not lack for efficient governments. It lacks for humble ones. The farmer who governs his own field understands freedom better than the financier who governs by abstraction. Local institutions keep rulers near the consequences of their decisions. Distant institutions learn too easily to speak in the name of the public while serving themselves. A republic should trust citizens first, offices second, and concentrated systems last. Commerce has its place, but a people cannot mortgage virtue and call the bargain strength. The truest defense of liberty is not energetic power. It is permanent vigilance against its expansion. If you would keep a nation free, teach it to fear central ambition before it fears its own people.
Mr. Jefferson speaks as though power alone corrupts. I say weakness corrupts too, because it tempts every demagogue and province to seize what the center cannot govern.
And I say concentrated power creates the very demagogue you fear. Only now he inherits tools vast enough to master the whole republic.
A scattered union does not prevent tyranny. It merely decentralizes incompetence until crisis arrives and no one can act.
Crisis is the oldest excuse in politics. Men who ask for extraordinary power rarely surrender it when ordinary times return.
Then design institutions that divide authority within the national frame. Do not pretend 13 jealous sovereignties amount to safety.
But once men taste national machinery, every dispute becomes an argument for enlarging it, staffing it, funding it, and defending it from oversight.
Because the republic is real, not pastoral poetry. It must tax, regulate, negotiate, and sometimes compel.
It must do those things sparingly, or its citizens will become subjects while still calling themselves free.
You trust virtue too much. Passion, faction, and private interest do not evaporate in county meetings.
And you trust management too much. Paper systems can disguise corruption so elegantly that citizens applaud while losing control.
No, sir. I trust constitutional design over sentimental hope.
And I trust living citizens over permanent machinery that learns to rule in their name.
Let us speak plainly of money. Without public credit, your republic cannot endure a serious shock.
Credit may steady a government, but debt also seduces it into perpetual entanglement with wealthy interests.
A funded debt, properly managed, binds lenders to national success and gives the union material coherence.
Or it creates a class whose prosperity depends on enlarging federal power, taxation, and speculation.
A national bank is not corruption. It is a nervous system for commerce, liquidity, and coordinated action.
A national bank is influence concentrated behind polite language and legal ceremony.
Would you prefer each state invent its own fiscal weather, its own monetary confusion, its own commercial warfare?
I would prefer economic life rooted close to the people, not suspended above them by financiers who call dependence sophistication.
Agriculture alone cannot sustain national ambition. Industry gives independence from foreign suppliers and a strength in war.
Industry may enrich a nation, but if it breeds urban misery and political manipulation, the moral cost is not trivial.
Prosperity requires a scale, coordination, and confidence.
Liberty requires limits, simplicity, and refusal when ambition asks to be institutionalized.
When foreign powers threaten or domestic rebellion rises, theory ends. Someone must act with speed, unity, and force.
Action is necessary, yes, but concentrated emergency power is the sharpest blade ever handed to ambition.
Tell that to the government that cannot suppress insurrection before it teaches every rival that federal law is optional.
Suppress insurrection if you must, but do not let that necessity become a standing argument for permanent central expansion.
Prepared institutions shorten crises. Improvised government extends them.
Prepared institutions also normalize commands that free citizens should question.
Would you defend the republic with decentralized hesitation while enemies coordinate against it?
I would defend it without converting it into the thing it was founded to resist.
Power used constitutionally in defense of order is not betrayal.
Power preserved after danger passes very often is.
A durable nation must be capable of decisive motion.
A free nation must never mistake decisive motion for moral legitimacy.
Mr. Jefferson, you praise the independent farmer. What of the merchant, the mechanic, the sailor, the laborer in a growing republic? Are they less Republican?
Not less Republican, sir, only more vulnerable to systems that tie livelihood to distant financial power and thereby weaken civic independence. Colonel Hamilton, you praise energy in government. How will citizens distinguish your energetic republic from a monarchy wearing Republican clothes?
By written limits, separated powers, elected institutions and periodic accountability, mechanisms monarchies do not willingly endure. You distrust consolidated finance. How then will the Union finance defense, infrastructure, and diplomacy without begging the estates for cooperation?
By confining national purposes to true necessities and refusing every seductive instrument that converts convenience into precedent. You speak of human selfishness when defending strong institutions. Why place those same selfish humans inside enlarged institutions and expect purity?
Because ambition is safer when counterweighted inside durable structures than when scattered through local oligarchies beyond national correction. Do you deny that local elites can be tyrannical too?
I deny only that one cures smaller tyrannies by erecting a larger one with grander language and wider reach. And do you deny that centralized patronage breeds dependence?
I deny that dependence on lawfully constituted institutions is worse than dependence on improvisation, insolvency, and provincial rivalry. A republic that cannot govern itself in practice will not remain free in principle. Liberty requires more than suspicion. It requires competence, revenue, credibility, and national coherence. I do not worship power. I insist on harnessing it before disorder, faction, and foreign pressure harness us instead. Build institutions strong enough to survive bad men, not dreams delicate enough to work only with good ones. Let the Union be energetic, constitutional, and economically alive. Then freedom will rest on foundations sturdier than hope.
A republic worthy of love must trust its people more than its administrators. Every accumulation of power arrives draped in necessity, expertise, and promises of efficiency. Yet liberty is usually lost by gradual permissions, each one defended as practical and temporary. Keep government limited, keep citizens vigilant, and keep power nearest to those who must endure its mistakes. Let commerce serve the republic, not define it. Then freedom will remain a habit among the people, not a slogan from the capital.
Thank you, gentlemen. The fault line remains exactly where history left it. Energy against restraint, nation against locality, durability against suspicion. Hamilton argues that liberty dies when government is too weak to defend order, credit, and union. Jefferson argues that liberty dies when government grows efficient enough to stop asking permission. Both men speak from the same revolution, yet they imagined radically different futures for it. And perhaps that is why their debate still sounds unfinished. Every argument about federal power, finance, executive force, and local control still echoes their collision. So who made the stronger case tonight? Was Hamilton right that freedom needs disciplined national capacity? Or was Jefferson right that central ambition always arrives smiling, procedural, and hungry for more? Tell me in the comments which debater won, and why. If you want more great minds, sharper arguments, and bigger clashes from world history, press like and subscribe. This is When Great Minds Collide, where history returns not as memory, but as argument.